Today we're going to talk about, should mortgage brokers charge fees? It's a debate that constantly keeps going on in my communities. And I'm going to talk to you about the different ways in which I believe brokers should charge, the differences between pre-credit crunch in 2009 to the industry now, and how I think new brokers should charge, experienced brokers should charge, and how the industry should behave when it comes to charging fees for our services. So if you're a mortgage broker, and let's go back to pre-credit crunch days, it was extremely easy to get mortgages. You know, if you were looking to buy a property below 75% of the property's value, 9 times out of 10, you didn't even need to have bank statements. You didn't even need to have proof of income. You could almost self-certify. And you did have self-certified mortgages, which particularly in a self-employed, you know, if you were self-employed, it would be easy as anything because you would just sign a piece of paper to say, I'm self-employed, I can afford it, and the bank would give you the money. Now, the credit crunch happened in 2009 and the industry massively changed. Now, in 2009, having been a mortgage broker since 2003, up until that time, I'd always charged around about £500 for a normal mortgage. Now, I started in the Woolwich and I started in Connells, or I started at the Woolwich and went on to Connells, and neither of those charged any fees. But as soon as I moved into brokering world, then it was £500. Even at Alexander Hall in London, it was £500. And in some instances, it would be a percentage of the loan, depending on the complexity of the case. Then I started specialising in adverse credit in 2004, 2005 time. And our fee would be as much as £2,500, and out of that we would pay solicitors' fees. So when the credit crunch hit, my easy diversification was to move into life insurance. So from 2009 till 2015, I actually built a near 7-figure life insurance, critical illness, income protection, health insurance, commercial insurance business. But a story for another day is I ended up hating that business because of the way in which I marketed. But we were near 6-figure profits. We were near 7 figures in turnover and we were near 6-figure profits, about 90,000 I think it was from memory. Now, I found a niche in getting back to mortgages through my own personal experience. Moving home as a company director, wife being a sole trader, self-employed mortgages, Selfcert mortgages were abandoned and abolished in 2014 due to massive changes in regulation, where they brought about affordability. MMR was what was brought around. And the difficulty I felt when coming back to mortgages in January 2016, having downsized my team from 13 to 3 and starting all over again, was, one, I'd been through it myself. I then spoke to 180 lenders to find an absolute plethora of things that are available for self-employed people. And I had the confidence in myself, through that knowledge and that experience, that I could start charging £500 straight from the off. Even though for 7 years I hadn't done a mortgage. I'd only done a handful of mortgages, let's say, for existing customers and clients, friends and maybe family. So I started charging £500. As my confidence then grew and my experience in self-employed mortgages grew, and by March, June time, we started to get some real completions, got more of an understanding because you have to work on a case-by-case basis, I then started to test and increase my fee. £750, £1,000. I went to £1,500 at one point, and that didn't work. Now, at that time, I was always charging my fee on application. So £1,000 on application worked through by the end of 2016. 2017, what actually started to happen was the number of inquiries were increasing because of the social media that I was doing. But the difficulty that then came about was that clients were taking a long time to return their documentation because the mortgage broker process has changed. You speak to a client, and before you can give an indication of an interest rate, before you even want to open your sourcing tool, before you even want to do a fact find, you need to get documentation from your client. Credit report, bank statements, company accounts, pay slips, everything in order to be able to assess their circumstances. Because the banks want everything and the kitchen sink. So it then became a case that my PA at that point in time was chasing around about 40 clients who were just dragging their heels getting documentation back to us in order for me to be able to do an assessment. Now, I've always done what I call a strategy call. So lead comes in, I speak to the client, 30 minutes, I sell myself, I sell the service, I seed plant protection, and then I initiate, here's an email with all the list of documentation, get them back to us. Once you get them back to us, we'll pre-fill the fact find, my PA we'll check the documents, and then we'll have a conversation. And then I will do research. Anything up until that point, interest rate, potential loan to value, deposit amount, irrelevant. Because until you get the documentation in, you can have a rough idea as whether it's going to work or not, but you don't know. So going back to my original point, I had 40 clients, or my PA had 40 clients that she was chasing for documents, and they were dragging their heels. So I spoke to my business coach at the time, and he was like, well, Gary, you're not selling. No, what's your fee you're charging? £1,000. So why don't you then charge £250 up front as an initiation fee? Why don't you turn around to clients and say, hey, look, I'll send you an email with a list of all the documentation. We'll give you a call in 2 days' time, which is what we did anyway. And at that point, if you're happy with everything we do, we take a instruction fee, an assessment fee of £250 to get them to buy in. And the whole point in that was that fact that from there on in, they are committed. And guess what happened? They either buggered off because they didn't want to pay the 250 quid, which opened up more space in my diary for more people, or they got their documents back within 7 days. Because all of a sudden, it started working. And all of a sudden, they have an incentive because they've now paid. Now, a question that I often get is, well, what happens if you can't get a client a mortgage? What happens if they've got a CCJ or missed payments, or there's not something you can do? Well, you don't just take their money. You tell them what they need to change. You make sure that they go ahead and do it. And in 3, 6, 9 months' time, once they've put the things right that need to be right or saved a bit more deposit, you then go again. And providing nothing additional has been chucked in, like an extra CCJ or missed payments, you don't charge them again. And then you charge an application fee for the mortgage of £750 on application. Now, for some brokers, that will sound like a lot, £1,000 for a self-employed mortgage. For others, that won't sound like a lot at all. But we are boutique, we are niche, we are experts in my brokerage in terms of what we do. We're not just that, we are award-winning at what we do. Best Small Broker 2019. So that is like, you can either be the Lidl, you can either be the Tesco's, you can either be the Sainsbury's, the John Lewis, or the Marks and Spencer's. It just depends where you want to position yourself. But I have an abundance mindset in the sense that where one client says no, another client says yes. And I have an abundance mindset and a customer service focused mindset in the sense that I know that I can afford to charge my clients more, which I can put more effort into the service. That can enable me to recruit more PAs to provide a better service, to get them a faster result. And the clients that I work with want results. They want the work done for them. And that's the thing that you have to realize. Now, in some instances, the complexities, for example, of portfolio mortgages, expats living abroad, what else have we got? Foreign investors investing into UK limited companies and property investment, HMOs, serviced accommodation, holiday lets. All of these have a completely different fee structure in our world because they are complex. And the basic standard mortgage can take 16 hours in order to be able to go through. And I believe that every mortgage broker is worth at least £100 to £150 per hour as a bare minimum. You are an expert. You have to do 30 hours of CPD every year. You have to go through qualifications which teach you nothing in terms of how to do the job. But you also have to learn the different areas of the business in terms of, I don't believe that you should be a GP, because a GP is someone who earns less and can't charge more, because a GP is a general practitioner who only focuses in one specific area. You should be a consultant, and a consultant is somebody who charges more. They work in private hospitals. They are the best in the industry, and that's because their knowledge is far superior to everybody else, because they only do one thing. If you've seen my YouTube video and podcast episode with Rob Jupp from Brightstar, who are a mortgage packager, he talks about having silos, which is exactly how I've built my team. You have a residential team, self-employed team, a buy-to-let team, a HMO team, a bridging and development team. That means that the team, or the people within those teams, can process those applications much, much faster. The problem for most mortgage brokers is you have a scarcity mindset. You don't focus enough. You try to do absolutely everything. You want to be a mortgage broker. You want to be an equity release expert. You want to be a will writer. You want to be a protection expert. It does not work if you want to build a business that is going to be able to, yes, you want to provide the best possible service to your client. Yes, you want to make sure that you don't lose your clients to anywhere else. But if you want to build a business that is actually going to be award-winning and the best at what it's going to possibly be, then you have to be a consultant, not a GP. That then enables you to charge consultant fees instead of GP fees. That enables you to put more into your customer service and be able to get more results. Now, when you're starting out, because this is the one thing I haven't covered off, when you are starting out and you are new to industry, you may not charge a fee because you are in the learning phase. But you have to quickly realize and adapt that even during the learning phase, you have been through examinations, you have gained qualifications. Each application that you do gives you more experience. And I'm going to talk about competent advisor status on another video, because I think it's important to understand what that actually means, particularly if you're new to industry. But you increase your fees. There are brokerages out there which are like Chinese nail bars, and I do believe that you should run your business a bit like a Chinese nail bar, in the sense that your sales process should be one expert doing each part. So we'll have someone who's an expert in booking new leads. We'll have someone who's an expert in chasing and waiting documents. Someone or advisors who are an expert in doing strategy calls. Admins who are an expert in keying dips and keying applications, chasing solicitors, chasing lenders, submitting life insurance, etc., so on and so forth. I do believe that you need that process for your clients to be able to get the best result. But I also believe that you need to make sure that you are focusing on the most important areas within your business in order to be able to get your clients the best possible result. And you need to make sure that your skills and your expertise are focused when you start out. And as you begin to learn, develop, improve, and grow, you increase the fees that you charge to your clients, and you then begin to actually feel more valuable. A tattooist doesn't start off at £150 per hour. You know, their fees go up the more their profile increases. The same as footballers. You know, you play in third division versus Premiership versus Championship versus World Cup. You earn a different amount based on how good you are. And that how good you are comes back to your specialism and comes back to your niche, and comes back to how much you put yourself out there, and whether you actually act as a business like a GP or a consultant, like a Lidl or a Waitrose, like the bottom of your industry, not mentioning any mortgage names, that literally don't charge a fee, but brokers leave all the time. They don't invest in customer service. We win so much business because they're constantly changing. And the problem with the brokers that don't charge fees is they don't have the level of customer care and customer attention, I believe. Because particularly in the larger organizations, I'm talking about the big corporates here, because their employees, they've got too many leads that they're not bothered. And actually they're the ones who turn around and say, you can't do that because it sounds too complex. Where we will do within Active anything complex. So finalizing this, if you're charging fees, then I urge you to do a few things. Do not charge your fee on completion, because your job as a mortgage broker is not to get them the keys to their house. Your job as a mortgage broker, mortgage advisor, is to get them their mortgage offer. If the mortgage doesn't go through after that point, that is not your fault. If you get them a mortgage offer, your job is done. Yes, you help them and your clients to get through to completion. Yes, you chase the solicitors. Yes, you hold their hand. But if something cocks up before they exchange, that is not on you, because you got them an offer. So the latest point you should charge a fee is at offer stage. You should charge an application fee, because the going through the point of application to offer is complex. It's the hard bit. You'll need additional documentation from them. It's being pulled pillar to post. And I believe that you should charge a commitment fee up front. £99, £250 like we do. £500 is if it's a portfolio landlord, because of the complexity of assessing the whole portfolio. I think the mortgage industry needs to realise now that it isn't just about money in the slightest, but there are different categories in terms of how it can work. You need to value yourself. You need to value your time. You're in, yes, an advice-based industry, but you are also in a sales-based industry. And you don't reduce your fee just because a client takes life insurance, critical illness, or income protection. You don't reduce your fee just because the client takes your solicitors. You charge a fee for the mortgage application and going ahead in that sense. You then advise and sell them life insurance and critical illness and income protection, which they need and probably don't want based on their circumstances. And I think it's about time that the industry as a whole and overall begins to value itself and the service that we provide. Does an accountant charge more for a limited company than they do for a sole trader? Does an accountant charge for payroll, for doing complex tax returns, for opening your limited company, for providing additional advice, for bookkeeping? You know, does a solicitor charge you to read every single letter and provide you with contracts and reports? You know, we are in the same category as them. You need to provide your customer with the best possible experience, and you can only provide the best possible experience if you are earning and charging your worth. That's my belief, and I think we need to be pulling together, and as a minimum, everybody should be charging at least £500. Procuration fees are there, paid by the mortgage lender, as a means to offset the free amount that we charge. If we didn't receive a procuration fee, then the fees would be higher. But the fact of the matter is, we still provide 60 to 70% to the mortgage lenders. We carry the compliance, the risk, the ongoing issues around the potential of complaints. We have to do all the hours of research, and one mortgage could take you an hour, another mortgage could take you 5 hours. Whether you're doing £1 million mortgage or £100,000 mortgage, you should still charge the same fee. In essence, you should charge more for the less, because you're actually getting less from the lender at the end of the process. So I could go on about mortgage broker, mortgage advisor fees all day, every day. It's a consistent debate that happens within the mortgage pro community. These are my thoughts. These are my feelings. I'm completely open to any opposing views. As I say, it's not about money for me. It's, well, I suppose, no, I'll take that back. It is about money for me, because I value myself and I value my worth, and I know the service that we provide to our clients. If the service was shit and one of my advisors did a good job, or didn't do a good job, I should say, then I would refund that fee. And I would have my tail between my legs. I would beg for forgiveness, and I would ensure that we did absolutely everything within our sales process to ensure that that mistake never happens again. And at every opportunity for a mistake and a complaint, it's taken seriously and it's put right, because I want the service standards to be in the best of the industry, even as a small lifestyle broker. I said the other day on a other video, you play to be in the top 5% or don't play at all. It doesn't have to be in turnover, but that can be in service standards, that can be in relationship building, that can be in ongoing customer service and support, and that can be in knowledge of your niche, your specialism, and the industry. You play a big game or don't play at all. That's my belief. So I think charge your worth. Make sure that you don't devalue yourself. Make sure that you position to the client when you have the first conversation that, based on our conversation today, I believe the fee will be this, but depending on the details depending on the details and the documentation that you return to me, the fee may increase. And as you gain more experience, and as you become a better advisor and broker, and as your specialism improves, then you increase your fees. We charge anywhere from £500 through to £2,000, depending on the complexity of the case. Each and every single advisor within my brokerage is an expert in a specific and particular area. And from treating customers fairly, we have a consistency within our fee structure. It's laid out on our terms of business, and we look after our clients, providing the best level of customer service that we possibly can. And we never have any complaints. I can't say never. We rarely, 1%, 2% of the time, have a complaint. And when we do, it's taken seriously, it's improved, and it never happens again. So I hope that inspires you about fees. I hope you gain some confidence from this. Reach out to me directly if you have any questions. Put a comment below. Let me know what your thoughts and feelings are. Have a fantastic day. Any questions you have, I'll be sure to follow up with these on additional videos. Remember, now's the time to become pro.